Good morning, everyone. Please scan the slide deck so you have a copy of it, please, on the presentation. Who's here for the first time? Hi, strangers. No, just kidding. Welcome here. Welcome here. We're glad you're here. So you can take a picture of that QR code. That's our presentation. So since we have a couple of new guests here, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. Most of you here know who I am. My name is Cindy Vo. My background was I was in mortgage for 5 years, and I was in the title industry as an escrow officer for about 20 years. Almost 4 weeks ago, I make a huge decision in my life to transition out of title. So I retired title, and I joined the commercial real estate full time now. My passion has always been about teaching, education, and just adding values to you. So a lot of things that I've learned through my past 25 years, I'm giving back to you. So again, thank you for coming here. And then I also want to thank Jesse and Hunter for sponsoring our lunch today. After the presentation, they'll come up and introduce themselves and how they can add values to you as realtors as well. Okay. And as we go through, you can ask me questions. Here's a QR code for Q&A, or we can just ask during the class, since we have a smaller class, which is fine. Okay, so the topic today is warning signs in the closing process, right? Who's here have done closings before? Okay, so sometimes you have issues during the closing or right before the closing, right? So today are some of the legal matters that if you understand, you can eliminate or avoid the issues before the closing happen. Okay, so there's a few things that we're going to be discuss about, if especially on the sellers. If your seller is deceased or whoever on title has been deceased, what are the things that you need to know, how to clear it? In Texas, there's a community law state, and then also the power of attorney, divorce, fun things to discuss, right? So let's go over real quick. Am I on your way? Okay, first warning signs is divorce. This sounds kind of funny, but it's not really funny. During the pandemic, we are closing so many deals. And most of the refinance transactions are because of divorces. I guess the spouses cannot stand seeing each other 24/7 or something like that. But believe it or not, I'm not sure how many divorce decrees I read and review every single day. It's sad, but that's what happened, right? So in Texas, there's no such thing as separating. Either you're married or you're not married. Okay, and let me dive into deeper. So if your clients tell you, I just received a house in divorce, okay, what do you need to know? So what they really mean is they are in the middle of the divorce. What did I just say? You either marry or you're not married. If you're in the middle of the divorce, what it means is the judge has not stamped and signed off on the final divorce decree. That means from that time until the judge signed off, they're still married. Okay? So if you represent the sellers or the buyers and you have a transaction, the other spouse needs to attend the closing as well. Speaking of the lender side, right? So when that case happened, then the other spouse, even if they tell you, I'm getting the house and the other spouse is not getting the house, whatever, right? But when you do loans, you still have to make sure both of them sign. That's the problem. And you, as a realtor, if you're looking for a house for them, you need to make them aware that, yes, you are going through a divorce right now. But when you do the closing before the divorce is finalized, your ex or soon to be ex will still have to attend the closing and sign. But let me tell you this, that's creating a lot of issues in the future. A lot of divorces, why divorces happen? Because they don't want to see each other anymore, right? So if you make them come and then see each other at the closing and signed off, and technically to them, they already divorced, even though the legalized is not finalized yet, right? The legal docs, all that stuff is not finalized. But between the spouses in their mind, I'm already divorced. I'm a single person now. Okay. So when you do a closing, both of them will have to be on title and they have to be on the loan. Or even if they're not on the loan, they still have to sign what is called non-borrowing spouse docs, like the closing disclosure, the deed of trust, etc. Just like a normal married couple, because divorce is still not finalized, right? So what happened after the divorce is finalized? It depends on what the divorce said. If the judge say, Gabby, you got the house, right? Then she's like, yes. Then Ernesto is going to have to sign a deed to remove your interest out of the title. So that's one thing. That's kind of easy. But then his name is still stuck on the loan, right? But then he needs to get his own house, but his name is stuck on the loan with Gabby. When the lender pulled the credit report, both of your names are on there. So what that mean? Your credit, your debt is still on there. You see what I mean? So if I were you and I find out that my clients are in the middle of divorce, the sellers are easier because then they just need to attend the closing, sign off the warranty deed, and it's good to go. But as a buyers, I would suggest them to, you need to wait. And how long does it take? Like how far off is a judge going to sign off? Because sometimes the divorce process, here's the thing, before you get a divorce, one party has to file what is called a petition. Okay, that means, Judge, I want a divorce from this person. It's like a request to the court. So sometimes they just start with a petition, not even go through the whole process yet. And it depends how many kids they have, how many assets they have, are they going to fight? Sometimes it could take years or months. So again, all this information have been shared to you so you understand and you be aware of when you work with clients in that situation. Okay, so first with a petition, and then what you need is the final divorce decree signed off. And then once they divorce, or let's say the divorce has been finalized last month, right? You need to make sure that they have a copy to send it to the title company, to send it to the lender, all the people involved, because they have to review before the closing. Okay? Because sometimes, let me tell you this, sometimes they go through a divorce attorney who's not really specialized in divorce and real estate in Texas. What do I mean by that? Sometimes in the divorce, it just say, Gabby is getting a house, bless you, getting a house on 7005 Chase Oaks, but there's no legal description, right? Or it says, well, you got this house, the other got this house, but there's no legal description in there. And then it depends on what the divorce decree is saying. Sometimes it's not saying that Gabby is getting the house. Sometimes it's saying that Gabby is getting the house, but she has to pay Ernesto $100,000, right? So that's when you have to work it out. You have to get a loan to buy out his portion before he can sign up his interest. So it's a lot of details involved, but without reviewing the divorce decree prior to closing, or as soon as, if you list the property, as soon as you get that information, get in touch with your preferred title company and have them, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you pull title up and can you review this divorce for us? Just to make sure, like, because sometimes you have to hunt down the ex to sign the warranty deed. And that ex may already took the money and went back to overseas and get married to a younger one, But I've seen it all, pretty much, all different kind of situations. So divorce is not fun, okay? So just need to be aware. Yes.
So we have a situation with a client that she got divorced. Well, she was in the middle of the divorce and she got another couple middle and she wanted to buy a house with that new couple, but she haven't finalized the divorce yet. She was kind of there's a kind of legal document that she can make the ex-husband sign in order not to get into a new house.
Yeah, so
There's no way you have to finalize that.
he has to sign. If that's the case, if their divorce is not finalized, and she, like I just mentioned earlier, if she's planning to buy another house, whoever she's with now, she's gonna have to wait till that divorce is finalized,
Okay.
or the ex-husband is gonna have to sign,
Okay.
and then you have gonna have to worry about removing him afterwards.
Yeah.
So he can quit to the right to the new house.
Complete title, but complete the
So first of all,
the-
Texas does not acknowledge quitclaim deed.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only warranty deed, no quitclaim deed accepted. Only exception could be through a divorce. Okay. But that's if the judge in the divorce decree say that you can quitclaim deed. Yep.
The outside for
But instead of doing a quitclaim deed, do a warranty deed.
yeah.
It's safer. Yeah. But in that situation, I would wait till everything is finalized, stamp, file with the court, and then move on. Yes.
So as a buyer for a real estate transaction that is interested in the house that is, I'm not sure if it's gone through the divorce or go through divorce that the court assigned them to sell.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if, and do you know anything about receivership?
Yes.
So I don't know. I have a little bit of information about.
So
that,
your
but
client is a buyer or is a seller?
my buyer, is a buyer.
He's a buyer
Mhm.
and they're in the middle of the divorce?
The seller.
Okay, so he's purchasing a property that the seller's in the middle of the divorce. Okay, so as long as the soon to be ex, so because that's a seller's, as long as both of them sign at closing, you're good to go.
But I think that, I mean, court order that
Mm-hmm.
they sell the property.
Right?
So I think one of them doesn't want to cooperate.
Ah,
So I think it might go to receivership or something, but the court is assigning
okay,
real estate
yeah.
agent or something like that.
okay. So that means they're gonna have to wait till the receivership is done.
So can you explain a little bit about
I know what it is, but it's kind of hard to. So basically, because one person is refused to take action, in a way they kind of have to be forced because that's by the judge. But because it's not finalized yet, they have to go through an extra step. In a way, it's kind of like trying to buy some time, in between. I'm not exactly sure how to explain this. But then that needs to be finalized before, so that can be finalized before the divorce is finalized. And then you can still go through the closing.
Okay.
Yeah, bottom line, that's what it is.
Okay. All right.
Okay, any other questions? We only on the first slide. Yes, sir. And talk divorce all day long.
This might not be the place to answer this question. What's the difference between a warranty deed and a quick claim deed?
Okay. Just like the word, quick claim deed is just quick, right? Some other states will acknowledge a quick claim deed. The difference is the warranty deed, warranty. Okay, so there's different types of deeds, and I can go over this quick, the quick claim deed. But there's several types of warranty deeds in the state of Texas. The best one is a general warranty deed. So let's say if I'm the seller and I'm signing the general warranty deed to the buyer, basically it warranties everything from, back in the la la land. Okay. The special warranty deed is I only guarantee to the buyer from the time I became the owner. Everything before that, I'm not aware of. So most of the time you will see the special warranty deed first is in commercial transaction. Second is in the new build. Because a builder does not want to warranty anything that he doesn't know before, right? So as a homeowner, it's always best to do general warranty deed from one homeowner to another homeowner. So they pretty much warranties everything. But the quick claim deed, it does not have the language on there. It doesn't have any warranties on there. It's just like well, I'm transferring my name to you, but if something happened, you're not going to be protected out of it. So that's why, Texas is one of those very strict states. And that's why the title premium is probably one of the highest in 50 states. So everybody who wants to do title real estate, they come to Texas. But again, you get what you kind of pay for. So because of one of the highest premiums from the title insurance, they have a lot more compliances. Okay. And so that's why state of Texas is one of those states who would not accept or acknowledge quitclaim deed. Only exception is with a divorce for the divorce purposes. Okay. So get the decree. Get the divorce decree. Okay. Okay. So probate, death, right? When you dealing with a seller, someone on title that has passed away. So you as a listing agent need to be really aware of this and what steps you need to take to avoid delay in closings and creating issues. Okay. So let's say, for example, when your client says, I'm the independent executor of the estate, what does that mean? Okay. What it means is they are named as the executor in the will. The intent of the testator does not empower the executor. If the will has not been submitted to the court for administration, there is no executor. So let's talk about death. Today's all interesting topics. Okay, so let's say one of the homeowner died. You need to ask them, does that person has a will or not? Okay, do you have a will or not? If they have a will, has it been probated? What does it mean probated? That means someone, the executor, is taking that will, go to the court, and request the judge, please probate this will. So basically, the judge will review everything on the will and then start taking action. And then they probate the will, which means that, let's say, A has passed, and then it goes down to whoever the children, the heirs are. Okay? Because again, Texas is community state. What that means is when one passes away, and if that person has children from the previous marriage, this is something very important you guys need to know. If that person passed away without a will, right? So a couple owns a property together, right? That's 100%. So what does that mean? Each person has 50% ownership. So if one passes away, the surviving spouse still has his or her 50%. So the 50% now divided among who? All of the children, including the past marriage, if that person does not have a will. So a will is very, very important. So if that person has a will, it doesn't matter if that person is giving to a neighbor next door. The judge will go with the will. Okay? But if there's not a will, then that's another step that you can take care of. That is called the affidavit of heirship. Okay? Some title companies were not accepting it. Depends on how long the deceased person has passed. Some title companies were accepting it within 6 months, 3 months, usually a year or two. Why? Because they want to make sure that there's enough time in case any potential heirs can come up and say, well, I'm also one of the heirs and I deserve part of that house, right? So that's why it depends on the title company how much risk they're willing to take. So 2 options. One is if you have a will, goes to probate. 2 is affidavit heirship. Now, let me tell you this from the title experience. Even if your client has a will and it has not been probated yet, it is still best to go with the affidavit heirship. So instead of affidavit heirship goes by the decedent heirs, now they attach that will to the affidavit heirship and they will reflecting that will. So almost like a probation process. However, it's quicker and it costs less money. The attorney usually charges between $500 to $800. If you take that will to the court, it's probably cost you thousands of dollars because you're going to have an attorney and the judge in court. Affidavit heirship takes about 30 minutes to prepare. And then you need to get two uninterested witnesses who knows the deceased person and the family situation to be the witness. Okay. So once all that's signed, the title company can record it for you quick like that. So about a week or so unless you cannot find whoever needs to sign that affidavit heirship. But it costs less and it's quicker. Unless that person has so much asset and goes on, you know. But if it's too complicated, you need to tell them that talk to the lawyer or the attorney, okay? But these are some of the information that you should know, and then you can talk to them about it. Because a lot of people don't understand, once they pass and they have a will, they just go straight to the court for probation, okay? But that could drag on years. You never know. So, you know, just reach out to a title company that you have a relationship with, right? And then they can advise you what they're looking for and how they can get your deal closed. Okay? Yes.
So, I know like the will pay take a long time, right? So what if like you have like other option if I die, so my can go to go straight to my email.
Your heirs, okay. So first of all, like again, I'm not an attorney, right? So I can't give you legal advice, but based on my past experience, usually if a married couple does not have children outside of their marriage, then they can get a will or they don't have to get a will because at the end, it still goes to the surviving spouse and their own children. But if you have children outside of marriage, then you need to consult with an attorney, and that's when you should have a will. Or unless you want to leave the asset to someone else, not your children, it could be your mom, your dad, or your brothers, sister, or you have children, but you want to kind of like not everybody getting equal shares. You know, if one child is like, oh, you're such a troublemaker, I'm not going to leave you equal shares as others, for example, then you should get a will. Regardless, you should get a will, it's best. But if you don't want to get a will and you have children together, then it's kind of okay too. Okay. Okay. So then the next topic is when your client says to you, my spouse does not need to sign this, it's my property. Have you heard this a lot? Okay, so what did I mention earlier? What state are we in? Community state. What does that mean? Do you know what I mean?
Everything is the couple is shared with the couple, 50-50.
Everything is joint. Okay.
At least if you prove that you own before the marriage is the only thing that you can approve that is only you. But even in that situation, they own the equity, right?
Yes. Oh, you're good. You're good. Okay. You can come up here and teach now.
I'm tiny. I'm tiny.
Okay. There's community law and there's homestead law. Okay. The homestead is a separate property of either spouse or community property. Neither spouse may sell, convey, or encumber the homestead without joinder of the other spouse. Okay. All property acquired during marriage is presumed to be community property. Separate property is property acquired before marriage by divorce, inheritance, or agreement. However, okay, that's the next one. Homestead is where you live. So, for example, let's say I own a house before my marriage. And then once I got married, my husband moved in. Now it is community property. Okay. But if I own a house before marriage, and then when we got married, we buy a new house together. The house that I owned before is my separate property, and the new house is community property. Okay.
So just because he lived in there with you.
Yeah, it's a pretty-
Yes. So now it's homestead and community. Now, back to Gabby. Okay. It's not necessarily mean that now my husband live in my house that he automatically got 50%. Okay, there's a lot of different aspects. For example, so let's say now we live in my house together, right? And then we decide to go through divorce. Okay. So when I bought the house, it was $200,000. When we sell the house, it's $500,000. There's 300,000 difference. He only entitled 50% of that difference. Equity. So the first 200,000 belongs to me. So it's not still a lot, right? Yeah. So don't let anybody move into your house. Go buy a new house. You're a realtor. Go buy a new house and make your house your separate property.
You bought the house before get married?
Yes.
Isn't that your?
No, but your spouse move in and live in that house with you.
Then it become a community.
Yes.
But if they never live in it,
If they never live in it, it's still your separate property.
So don't let them move in.
That's what I just said.
They need to rent. Go to rent.
Another situation is, let's say you guys bought the first house together when you got married. So automatically, of course, that's community property. And then during your marriage, you inherit a property from your parents. That is a separate property. So let's say the property you inherit from your parents, you're going to rent it out. This is tricky. All the income coming from that rental is community property. But when you sell that house, it is your separate property. You see how complicated it is? We Texans are so complicated. Why are we in Texas, by the way? You see what I mean? So did you get that? Paul, you fell. No, I'm just kidding. So for the separate property, if there's income generating, if it's still like you rent it out, the income that coming from that rental is considered as community property. So let's say 5,000 a month is half and half. But once you sell that property, all the proceeds goes to you as separate property. Got it? Okay.
What if I rent a house before I move in with my husband? On a new house.
Well, your rent is not yours. You mean the house you own, you rented before?
Yeah.
Again, that's before marriage.
So that must count.
Yeah. So the best thing is if you have assets before you marry, prenuptial agreement. Okay? But then of course it comes to emotional attachment and why you don't trust me, Well, yeah, I don't trust you. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but there's a lot of you know about prenuptial agreements, but most of you probably don't know there's a postnuptial agreement. Aha. So prenuptial is before you get married. Okay, you're gonna say, this is my asset, this is my sole asset, this is my separate property. That's before you get married. Postnuptial agreements is after you got married, so you still can have assets divided out once two people agree. Okay, so say, hey, now we're married, and I still have this house. It's still going to be considered as my separate property, so you can get a postnuptial agreement done.
So if they sign a prenuptial agreement that house I own right now is mine, and even he moved in, it's still against the law, right? It doesn't work. It still will consider the equity part is the community.
So he may not have the community right, but he still have the homestead right because he lived there as his homestead. Okay, so it's complicated. Just buy a new house. Yes.
So this situation only happened if you married, right? Like, what if you had a girlfriend live with
Good question, Kyle. You have a girlfriend now, right?
you?
He's trying to prepare. Is she on live stream?
In Texas state is the same, right?
I just take the microphone. Okay, so girlfriend. Okay, so then this is something outside of this training today. It's called common law marriage, right? Ay, okay. Okay, So what exactly is common law marriage? A lot of people just think, oh, you move in, you live together for 6 months, now you're married. No, it's not as simple as that. There's a lot of different aspects involved, okay? The most important thing is, how do you declare each other in public? She can move in with you and stay in your house, but you guys are girlfriend and boyfriend, right? She has no interest in your property. That's one of them, okay? Even if she moved in 6 months. Now, we're in America, so it's like, well, my baby mama, my baby daddy, or whatever, right? But you guys can still have kids together and may still live together, but still being girlfriend, boyfriend. If you go with that route, make sure you don't file tax together. You don't have anything together. Like one person could be on the other person's insurance policy, health insurance as spouse. Account. And if she, okay, so don't give her your account number, because if she deposits $1 to your account, she has interest in your account. This is not a joke. Yeah. So again, it's how you declare each other in public, right? When it comes to closing, if you leak out any information that let us know, well, not us anymore. See, I'm still thinking like I'm entitled. if the escrow officer know, or someone heard about your conversation, oh, you're my wife, my husband, they're gonna stop the closing. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you a funny story. One time I went to the closing. The seller, on the seller information sheet that she disclosed, she says she's single. Okay, so I just need her to be at the closing, right? And then at the closing table, I overheard what she was talking to the listing agent. She mentioned something about husband. And I'm like, wait a minute. You told me you're single. And now I hear the word husband. And she said, well, we're not married. We only share the same house, the same room, the same bed. And I'm like, really? Where is he right now? And then she's like, well, I don't know where he's at, in the middle of the ocean somewhere. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I cannot continue with this closing. So we need to find him. Okay, so again, there's some information, just sharing with you from the title background, that the escrow officer, if they don't know, they don't hear, they don't imply the law on it. But if you leak something out, or if you're aware of it, then you need to start taking action. Don't try to cover up either, because there are possible claims later on.
What if she changed her ID to the same house address? Would that be the same as second interest on the property?
No,
No.
mailing address, resident. If she lives there, it is her resident. Just don't move in. Like I say, just don't move in. Rent an apartment for her.
She is my best friend.
Friends with benefits.
Yeah,
Sign a whole harmless. Seriously, like, yeah.
you don't take any loan or
Don't do it. Well, I feel bad for saying don't do anything together, but I mean, seriously, that's why Andy married after 7 weeks. And then I got married 7 weeks, so we don't have to worry about all this stuff.
But there's an hypothetical question. So if I want to sell his house right now,
Uh-huh.
if it's just her girlfriend, you don't have to sign in.
No, it's just a girlfriend.
yeah.
She's just a
It's a
girlfriend.
very best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, just friend.
Yeah.
Yes, you're online.
Kyle, she's watching.
If she can prove
If you don't see Kyle tomorrow, he's in trouble.
But if she can prove that they have a loan or they have an insurance and everything.
Just because they have a loan doesn't mean that they're married. Because I see girlfriend and boyfriend on the loan before, they both as a single person.
Okay.
And they can still stay in the house. Sometimes you can see both ex-spouses on the loan as well. And sometimes for the benefit of the children, the ex-spouses stay to live together in the same house so they can take care of the young children.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that they are now married. Now, sometimes after the divorce, and they stay together and then they change their mind and they can still go out in public and declare each other as husband and wife now, technically they are remarried already. without going to the court. So back to the common law, if you decide to not be with each other later on, you have to go to court and get a divorce. Okay? Common law, even common law. Okay? Yeah. Marriage license costs like what, $50? Divorce costs $5,000. Think hard. Be smart. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Do we need to have a private talk later? We counseling. Okay, y'all go with me afterwards, okay? This is too much public information. Okay, power of attorney. What is a power of attorney? So when the person before you say, I am selling my parents' house and will be signing for them as their attorney in fact under the power of attorney, okay? First of all, go to an attorney or at the title company and have the legit legal form for power of attorney, okay? Remember, guys, we're in Texas. Everything has to be legalized. And a legal document does not become legalized until it's been recorded. So even if you just have a paper in your hand and it's not recorded in the real property records, it's not effective yet. Okay, so got to make sure the form was prepared since January 1st, 2014. Have you spoken to mom and dad? One of the most fraudulent transaction is power of attorney. Okay, power of attorney. When was it signed? Is it properly acknowledged? Realtors cannot be the attorney in fact because that's conflict of interest. So as a realtor, first of all, you cannot deposit earnest money with your own check. You cannot represent your clients because that's conflict of interest. Well, you represent them as a realtor, but you cannot be the attorney in fact, right? And then, of course, you cannot notarize the documents if you're on that transaction. So there's a couple things. So let's say power of attorney. How does that work? So when you have a power of attorney, when you're dealing with someone, especially realtors, because you guys are dealing with the clients first, right? Especially the sellers, okay? If you're dealing with Cindy, but when you pull up the CAD, because you got to pull like, post it on your MLS and the legal description and all the ownership name, you're like, well, Cindy's name is not on title. Who are these people? And then you're asking me and say, oh, well, that's my parents, but I have the power of attorney. By the way, Cindy, if you can provide us a copy, because I'm sure the title company will need to review it before the closing. You can find that excuse, but you also need to read that so you know exactly if that's a legit power of attorney or not. Okay? And then send it to your title company to review. They can review and they will let you know, okay, if there's a problem, is this approved, if it's not approved. Because if it's been prepared by the title attorney or a real estate attorney, it's different. But a lot of time they just go online and they Google it and they download some PDF and they just get it signed. Okay. And then when it comes to closing, title company cannot use it. Then what happened? Your closing fall through. Okay. So get that reviewed. And then the process, this is how it works. On the day of closing, now some title companies don't do this, but that's a risk. On the day of closing, they're supposed to contact that person who's not here. So let's say back to my situation, they're going to have to contact my parents if they're in Vietnam, for example. Why? They got to make sure that that power of attorney is still legit. So we have to call and say, Mr. and Mrs. Nguyen, we want to confirm that you're still giving your daughters authorization to sign on your behalf. Can you verify your home address? Because sometimes it could be I'm giving to somebody else that's not my real parent, right? So there's a lot of information they need to vet. So first of all, we got to make sure that person is still alive, and if they're still giving the authority for that person to sign on their behalf. Third, the title company has to get the original power of attorney so they can record it at closing. Okay, so if your client does not have the original, that's going to be a problem. Okay, questions?
So what if the other person that signed a power of attorney died?
It's voided.
What,
Mhm.
so then what happens?
Then you have to go through the probate and all that stuff. Because remember, the power of attorney is only eligible when that person is still alive.
And you have to be notarized in the United States.
Not necessary. So let's say sometimes you run into, you work with a seller, right? And then they have emergency overseas at home. So they go back home and take care of it, right? And then you need to sell your house here. And then you need to have your brother sign on your behalf. So what happened is the attorney can prepare the power of attorney, email it over to them. So they have two options, okay? Before they only have one, which they have to go to the US Embassy in that country to get it signed and notarized. But since the pandemic, there's something called RON, so remote online notary. The only time that you can use the RON is if you have to be a US citizen. Then you can accommodate the not really virtual, but online notary, where they have to have a webcam and then the notary on one side and the signers on the other side. But they have to answer all these questions, identity questions, to make sure that it's a real person. So those are two options. Now, a third option, quicker than going to the US Embassy, and it only applies to some countries, is called the apostille. You guys need to write this down. Apostille. APOSTILLE. Okay? There are about 100 countries in this apostille. What does that mean? So that means that, let's say, if that country is in the apostille organization, they can go to any notary that can also attach the apostille affidavit. And then the US will accept it. So they don't have to go to the US Embassy.
They don't have to be a citizen for that one?
No. Yep. But only few countries. If you're not sure, Google apostille countries. You can pull up the whole list. I know Vietnam's not one of them. I don't think China is one of them either.
Canada, I think some European countries.
Yeah, I think Germany is. Africa, I believe. England, for example. Apostille, for the apostille. That's the notary part. So any documents that need to be notarized, whether it's affidavit heirship or the POA or warranty deed or closing docs, right? They either need to go to the US Embassy, or if they are US citizen and they're kind of high-tech people, they can go with the RON option. If none of those works and the country falls under the apostille organization, then they can go through the apostille. So basically, if they're in Canada, for example, right, they can go and say, hey, Cindy, you're a notary, but can you also provide the apostille affidavit? Because not all the notaries are apostille notary. Okay, like in California, when they do the notary acknowledgement, so Texas, there's a notary section, they just stamp it on there, right? But in California, they always have to attach a separate page for the notary. Okay, same thing as the apostille. They will stamp it on your actual documents, but they have to attach the apostille. It's just an additional attest portion. And it shows their apostille licensing number. Okay, so that's a couple options to get anything notarized. Okay. Any other questions? No more divorce. No, just kidding. Okay, so basically at the end, deceased party entitled wills versus affidavits of heirship, bankruptcy, got to have court order required, business entity, which we haven't discussed. But when there's a business entity, then you got to request the organization docs. Trust, request a copy of the trust. Because in Texas, you cannot take ownership as a trust. You can only take ownership as a trustee. Okay? So if you buy or sell a home, if you buy a house under the trust, then you're taking title as, let's say, Gabby, trustee of the Gabby and Ernesto Living Trust. But you cannot put the trust on title. Okay? You take title as a trustee. That's Texas law. Okay.
What insider is a trust?
Whenever there's a trust involved, the title company has to review the trust documents to make sure who can sign, who's the trustees, and who can sign off on behalf of that trust. Just like whenever there's an LLC or a corporation, right? There's several documents you have to provide it to see who has authority to sign on that company behalf. Because sometimes that person may own the company, but they don't have the right to sign. It sounds funny, but it's true. There's one time I read the operating agreement, and basically the manager or the secretary is the only person that can sign. Even the owner cannot sign. Because sometimes they have multiple membership, right? And they may not trust each other. I mean, if you don't trust each other, why you do business together? But sometimes there's trust issues, maybe. So they assign another person, which is a secretary of that company, to sign on the company's behalf. Okay. Or sometimes every transaction, it says that everybody have to sign. Or sometimes they designate one person to represent them to sign. So all of that legal docs, you have to provide it to review and approve before closing. Okay. Anything else? Questions? Y'all look so boring. Did I bore you? Divorce. Divorce. Don't get married and you don't want to have a divorce. Gabby says too late now. Just kidding. Okay. Well, if you don't have any more questions for me, I would like to bring up our sponsor for today, Hunter and Jesse on loan programs, and then we can enjoy lunch. So please help give them an applause. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jessie.
I'm Andre. We just want to have a brief introduction about what we do, our background, about company. Jesse and I have more than 20 years in experience in mortgage industry. Um, we are co-workers. We were co-workers together in the last company for over 10 years already, and Jesse is more focusing on the underwriting in the past 6 years, 7 years. For me, I'm more, just into compliance, coding and funding, and investor banker relationship, finding a good product and good rates. So we started our own brokerage company back to 2022 because I don't know how many of you still remember how crazy the market was back to that summer. I guess that's pretty much the peak season, the peak of the all-time high level. So we kind of had a view at that point. So it's gonna pivot after the Fed increase. So everybody knows what happened after that. Market goes down, went down so much, and almost froze. So, but in the 2 years, we are on our own company. We kind of still here. We survived last year. It was not a good year last year, but we're still here. We are still eager to learn, to share our expertise, experience, our passions. Still humble to serve. No matter what kind of race changes, market changes, we are here to help. We understand for those loan amounts, numbers, everything, it's just not numbers. It means a lot to every single family. There are families behind, parents behind, children behind. We treat every single transaction as our own transactions when we are here to help. I'll just put the time to Jessie. She's gonna just introduce the loan programs and also along with some special niches we do every day.
Okay, thank you, Hunter. And thank you, Daniel and Cindy, having us here. And all the terms Cindy just mentioned is I learned from the cases in the past 13 years. Every time I met, one situation, I learned from the case and also from Google for how, the definition for those. And a lot of, crazy cases. And I just write down here is almost all the programs we can do. And you can see like a conventional jumbo FHA, VA, those is a really common, cases where, the programs you can heard. And for special one, like a non-QM, especially the current market, a lot of clients, they need a non-QM program to get qualified to buy the house. Like a down payment assistance, SBA, also for the investor, the rental portfolio, fix and flip, and the construction loans. We all have, those programs. Basically, it's like both of us is looking for better rates, better lender, better programs to meet all the clients' needs. Especially like the realtor tell us, okay, I have this kind of group of clients that need this needs. If we don't have it, our job is to find a program for them because it's like a win-win game. Your clients can buy a house, both you and us can get paid, right? So we can do that. And I don't want to, go over everything. I just want to spotlight, point out a special thing for each kind of program we can do. And because you guys are realtors, you don't know all the metrics about the loan. That's our jobs. But I just want to point out something you may be interested in and maybe your clients in. And before you didn't pay attention, you think maybe this kind of client they cannot do loan, but actually they can. So for the conventional loan, we can do like the same day approval, like closing in 14 business, and it's a normal if it's like the clients really cooperate and provide everything really quick. The special part is two things I want to mention. The first one, because right now all the house prices increase, but the income is not increased that much, and so for some clients, if they want to buy the new build house, sometimes they cannot qualify. And usually, the regular way underwriting will calculate the debt to income ratio for the new build house. They will use in sales price times the property tax rates. And usually, because the property tax, they only have the land value for new build house, and they just using the sales price of time. And for DFW area, I think the lowest property tax rate is about 1.7 something. But we can do the program with times 1.5. That helps a lot, even like just a 0.2% difference, but it helps a lot of clients, they can qualify the loan. And yes.
Is there a zero down?
This is a conventional loan. This is not for zero down payment. Yeah, but they can put a less down payment, but they have a mortgage insurance. They still can qualify. But this is an option how to calculate for their debt to income ratio. They will make it look better. And for the F1 and J1 visa, because most of us here is Asian, so probably you will have the client is a new immigration or international student. And for the F1 and J1, we have program they can do, and we just need the documents and to prove they have the income and they are eligible in the U.S. So that's the 2 points I want to point out for the conventional loan. And for the FHA, the regular FHA, everybody know maybe their income is not that much and the credit is not really good they can do. And this one I want to point out is for the manually underwriting. And they will, their requirement, the lowest credit score they can do is 500. So if the clients is just have 500 the credit score, they still can have a way to apply the FHA. But they, like the chart I list here, they cannot have anything marked yes. So they should have a good credit at least in the past 12 months. They cannot have any late payments more than 30 days in the past 12 months. So I will not go over this each sentence. You can read later. And for the down payment assistance, this one is a pretty new program we have this year. This one is for the FHA clients if they only can pay maybe up to 3.5%. And for the down payment assistance, everybody can apply that if it's FHA loan first time home buyer. Usually the down payment will be, the assistance part will be like the second lien attached to the first lien. And for this down payment assistance program, if the borrower is a hero, like they are first responder, they are educator, they are medical personnel, like the nurse, X-ray technician, or does they're working for the federal or state government, and they might qualify to get the 3.5% down payment assistance granted. That means this is no longer a second lien to their house. They just get the money from the company. This is like a nonprofit company. They just granted. They don't have to out of pocket pay that. And usually they calculate the way is they were using the loan amount up to 5%. They can get it granted. And this money can cover their down payment, also closing costs. And Also, the third part is for the MCC, the mortgage credit certificate. This is a special one for just for target area. The HUD, they have a map, and if the property located in the specific area, the borrower can apply for the mortgage credit certificate. It's about like $400 or $500. But if they are heroes, they don't have to pay this to get a certificate. And then the borrower will get a tax credit up to 50% each year, as long as they're living this property as their primary. So the calculation is like this. If there's no MCC, for example, their gross income is $70,000 a year, and they have to pay the federal tax $8,019, and the mortgage interest they paid is $10,000 just for the year. But if they have the MCC in the target area, the same scenario for the tax and mortgage interest they paid, the 50% of the mortgage interest will be $1,500. And this $1,500 will deduct from the tax owed after credit. So that means they only have to pay $6,519 to the federal tax. That is a special one. And the next program is about the non-QM. And I know most of you guys may be just licensing taxes, but this one is a special program just for California property. If the borrower no job, no income, they still have the right to buy the house. We don't verify everything. We don't need a credit report. We don't need to verify their tax return, W-2, whatever. But the only thing is like they have to make a actual reserve deposit to the assigned account by the lender. I just want to let you guys know. And this is the one I want to let you know. This is most recent files we do right now for our clients. This is a self-prepared profit loss or the written verification of employment. This is a special non-QM program because for the self-employee, if they are, for example, they are the owner for a massage store or restaurant, and maybe their tax return not filed really good in the past 2 years. As long as we can verify their company already for more than 2 years, and the self-prepared P&L means the CPA only have to provide a letter to confirm when this company registered and is still in existing for this business for more than 2 years, and this CPA have them file the last 2 years tax return, and the profit loss is provided by the borrower, not from the CPA. So it's a kind of like a state income. So the borrower provided profit and loss, we will no longer verify their tax return, to match all the numbers. We just depends on the profit loss they provide to us to qualify the clients. And then for the VOE, it's the same thing. Like, for example, I have clients, they're working for a restaurant, and or they're working for the massage store, and they receive the salary, right? And this one, we just need the owner to provide a verification of employment. We're just using that document for the qualification. We no longer request borrowers paycheck W-2 for the calculation. So that's a special thing. The next one is a 3 months bank statement. Usually for self-employee, the non-QM program we have for the regular one, 12 months bank statement. And then we calculate how much deposit for the business account you have, and then we average it, and then that will be considered as your income. This one, it just requests 3 months, but we need a 2-month statement to verify, and they allow 100% for the gift, and the minimum credit score is 700. There's only a 7 years arm, and for the funds, they can use from 100%. If the borrower is 100% of the business, we can use the asset from their business account. We calculate it at 100%. So the reserve, they have a different requirement, depends on the loan to value ratio. So if you have clients that are interested, you can contact with us. We can explain more for you guys. And this one is a DSCR. Usually DSCR is for the 1 to 4 unit. And we have, we have a program for the 5 to 9 unit. So usually if you have a small multifamily, you may consider this one. It still calculate DSCR ratio. is 1.25. So the minimum FICO is 650, 680. And they have 5 years ARM or 30 years fixed. There's one more option for you guys for the multi-family. And the last one, I think it's the last one for the non-QM program, is a foreign national. I just want to point out the difference we can do. We can allow 100% of gift for the down payment and closing costs for the foreign national if they are foreigner. But they still have to have a reserve money under their account. And we need their bank statement, I mean, the account is in the United States with the US institution for more than 60 days. That means they should have two statement, or they can have a verification of deposit letter from the bank. They will show the open day more than 60 days. We will take it. But this is just for the reserve part. But for the down payment, they can use gift from all their relatives. That's one thing. But this one, if the foreign national want to buy a house, we only can do investment only here. So that's I want to point out the different part. And this is for our investors. We have the rental portfolio or the short-term rental program. The rental portfolio, that means you can put maybe one house will be multiple small houses under one loan. You don't have to apply mortgage, the loans for each house. You can combine them as a portfolio, just get one loan to cover all of those. But they have a 2.5 million loan amount requirement. So it's the big house not working, small one should be okay. So this is a different one because you don't want to have too much mortgage. So this one is a better option for the investors. They can combine portfolio partial of it as one. And the short-term rental we can do as well. They take the short-term rental income because right now more and more Airbnb house and sometimes the regular program they don't accept the short-term rental income. So this program can help them. And the fix and flip, fix to rent, and the bridge is all the programs we offer. And I don't want to explain, go over everything, just let you guys know. If you are an investor, you have this kind of requirement, you can let us know and we can explain to you more. The last part is for the partnership. We always do like free mortgage consultant. Every time you guys call us or clients call us, we answer is for free. And we issue the pre-approval usually after clients, provide us all the documents, we can issue the pre-approval within 1 hour. Every week we work almost 7 days. I work 24/7. Yes, as long as we didn't sleep, we will work. So I work with Nancy, and she knows me. Yeah, she always contact me every time I respond to her, right? Even at night. Yeah, and we can host events together with you guys if you have open house or you want to host anything, want to ask to share the information about loan programs or mortgage basic information to the clients, we can do that. It's okay. So this is our contact. That's probably everything. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah.
So I have one question.
Uh-huh.
If I need to reply Airbnb, how much or how long the Airbnb is going, or do you require for do the refine? How
many months?
How many months?
Yeah, usually we have to see your, income documents, like your rent roll, how your bookings done. Usually we recommend you already file like 1 year tax return, So it depends. It's, all those non-QM program is case by case because everybody's situation is different. Those non-QM means this program is not, delivered back to Fannie or Freddie. They just hold by the bank, the lenders. So all the lenders, different lenders, they have different guideline overlays. So it's really case by case. Even like I listed all the programs here. Maybe for us, we sign up more than 30 lenders. And different lenders, they have different, specialty. So even I listed one program, and on the back, probably there's 4 or 5 lenders we can use. So we just, based on your scenario to check which one the guideline is, fit for you guys. Yeah.
So for the 1 to 4 portfolio.
Rent portfolio, yeah.
Yeah. So how long do you have to own the property?
I mean, if you want to buy it together, you can do that, and that they have a refund option as well.
Refinance is going to be like 6 months.
You mean you own the property?
Yeah, if you already own the property, you want to refinance it to a portfolio.
Yes.
For property together?
Yeah, usually you have to wait after 6 months.
6 months?
Yes, using the ownership.
Okay.
Yes.
You have to prove that there's the lease contract.
Yes, they will verify. Usually they will require to see you receive the monthly, rental income. Yeah, as a proof, this is like you rent it out. It's not a
Yeah.
vacant house. Yes. Any other? Yeah.
Do you have a program where borrower has a lot of cash, no job, and great credit scores?
Yeah, we have. And as long as the borrower can have additional reserve money, they agree to deposit as a CD to the assigned, CD account, and then they can do that. Yes, we have. Yeah. So if you, yeah,
Do you draw for pre-approval?
pre-approval, yeah, we do that.
I mean, like you draw for like $50 one.
No, for free. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, question for the first, hero assistant program.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get that assistant program pay for the down payment or?
Yes.
you
Like
need to
they,
pay back?
no,
Is that
if they are hero, like the first
Oh.
responder, they are like a K-12, school teachers, those kind of hero position, and they don't have to, they just, verify their position to prove they're really the hero, and then they don't have to pay. The nonprofit, they're working with a government, and that they have the money, and that to just grant it, and that they just pay the 3.5% for the borrower, and they don't have show any second lien attached to their property. It's just like a free money for them.
But they need to hold the house for 3 years or
They have two
something?
options actually. The one option is like, I wanted the granted at the very beginning. So the lender will just pay the 3.5% if they qualify. And they have another option is like 3-year deferral. So that means as long as they hold the property for 3 years, they no longer pay the 3.55. But if they hold the property within the 3 years they sold it, they have to pay it off. Yes. So there's two options. So usually, if they got a granted at the closing, the rates will be higher than the 3-year deferral program. That makes sense, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's a special one. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah, this is our contact, and if you guys have any question, you can call us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys hungry? Okay, if there's no other questions, then lunch is ready in there. And then also the drinks, soft drinks is inside the fridge. And so let's just enjoy lunch and this beautiful weather. Thank you, everyone.